Stay with us. The second hour of America Right Now begins right now. Hello and welcome back to America Right Now. I'm Tom Basili. Coming up in this final hour, a meet and greet with Ukrainian President Zelensky this morning. Vice President Harris calling the situation with Russia a decisive moment. And she may be right in more ways than one. We'll have updates throughout the day from Ukraine as President Biden says he's convinced that Russian President Vladimir Putin has decided to invade. But first, heading to the front lines, our correspondent Chuck Holton shows us one Ukrainian woman's life is, and we'll get back to him. And we've got coming up, we're going to be discussing this with former Secretary of Veterans Affairs under Secretary of Defense under President Trump, Robert Wilkie. He's actually with us now. Mr. Secretary, thank you so much for being here.
Well, thank you for having me.
So President Biden issuing dire warning regarding the potential Russian invasion of Ukraine. Take a listen to this.
All right.
Okay, we don't have that. We don't have that side. You know what the president said yesterday in the Roosevelt Room? He's convinced. He says this is going to happen. Your response to his certainty there? I mean, it was a pretty stark moment where he said, definitively, this is going to happen.
Well, the problem he's doing with him is that he's creating panic in Ukraine. It's almost as if we've got a Chicken Little leadership. The invasion's coming today. The invasion should have come yesterday. The invasion's coming tomorrow. And this has been a pattern with this administration. Had they started in March to reverse their reversal of President Trump's policy of providing the Ukrainians with what they need to defend them, then we probably wouldn't be here. The other thing that they should have done was just slap sanctions on Mr. Putin as he built up his troops on the border and said, okay, these sanctions come off when you withdraw. But they haven't done that. And in the meantime, they're engaged in what I call performative diplomacy in Munich. And it's sad to say, I don't think that the NATO alliance is as tight and as in agreement as the president says. We saw the Prime Minister of Italy in Moscow saying he was going to do everything he could to help the Russians. I'm not convinced that the Germans will give up Russian gas, which also goes back, Tom, to another problem with this administration. If you take a step back and declare American independence again, energy independence, then you have changed the calculus in Putin's mind. But with an ideologically blinkered administration, I don't see that happening.
Mr. Secretary, how much of this could really be about Putin desiring to show the fissures in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, to show that the United States can be marginalized in the face of Putin and China and Iran and that new bloc that they have and the cooperative agreement that they have between those countries?
Oh, absolutely. I wish more people talked like you did. That's exactly what this is about. And it's also being fought on many fronts. And you mentioned Iran. I've got a statement here from the vice president that was released to the Iranian government. And she says that there is segregation in America, xenophobia exists in America, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, and transphobia all exist. Wherever injustice is dealt with, there is activity ahead. So these are people who don't even want to stand up for the United States rhetorically. And the other side feeds on this. And Putin is doing exactly what you're saying. He's saying they have no confidence in their own country. How are they going to be able to stand up for you?
Yeah, and you know, the Chinese have used that rhetoric against us in our bilateral discussions and certainly in their propaganda. You mentioned the Vice President, Kamala Harris. She earlier today vowing economic consequences in Europe if Russia invades. Let's take a listen.
We are prepared to move forward with consequences. We have prepared together economic measures that will be swift, severe, and united. We will impose far-reaching financial sanctions and export controls.
Mr. Secretary, certainly harsher words than the president, a little bit more specific. Your comments and your reaction to what the vice president said at the Munich conference today.
Well, if Putin comes across that border, that means Biden deterrence efforts have failed. And I do want to make a historical contrast here.
Sure.
The last time we faced such a crisis in Europe was during the Cuban Missile Crisis. And what John Kennedy did was dispatch to great European leaders like de Gaulle and Adenauer in Germany, Americans of incredible stature, the former Secretary of State, Dean Acheson. Dwight Eisenhower was on the phone. Harry Truman was on the phone. Omar Bradley was sent to Europe. Nobody takes this gab fest in Munich seriously, particularly with the vice president who knows absolutely nothing about national security. And at the same time she's talking, she is condemning the United States in front of the theocratic fanatics in Islam, in Tehran. That's not the kind of message that a Ronald Reagan or John Kennedy or Harry Truman would send to the world.
Mr. Secretary, I just have a few seconds left with you. The current U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, Linda Thomas-Greenfield, somebody else who has openly criticized the United States as a systemically racist country. Yes. She's also weighed in on whether we could see a military or a diplomatic solution. But, you know, how do you see all of this play out over the next week? Because, again, we keep on hearing from Jake Sullivan and the president and others, it's happening.
Right. Well, look, I can't predict what Putin is going to do. I can say that based on my own military experience and experience at the Department of Defense, that he does get extreme psychological joy from watching the West go back and forth like a chicken with its head cut off. Yeah. So he enjoys that. I'm not convinced that he's going to launch that strike because we're talking about tens of thousands of casualties. And I don't believe he's prepared the Russian people for that.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. Secretary Robert Wilkie, thank you so much for your insights today, sir.
Well, and thank you.
Hey, I'm Rob Finnerty. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please join the conversation in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe, too. Hit the bell icon to be alerted to breaking news. And remember, there's a whole lot more on Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news network. Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.